Hello, everyone. Thank you for connecting. This is Umberto Mattei. Welcome to the webinar called Cut MTTR by Automating Alert Enrichment and Malware Analysis, where we actually wanted to share with you some practical insights to respond to alerts at machine speed and stay continuously protected. As mentioned before, this is Umberto Mattei. A couple more details about me. I'm a solution designer at Mindflow, where I help our customers evaluate our product, but also build and deliver their automation and agentic AI strategy. And but I'm not alone, so I also have Jordan.
Again, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I'm Jordan Tudor, the VP of Product Engineering for GLIMPS North America.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jordan. So we'll get started now, and we'll have a look at the agenda for today. We wanted to do something quite simple, try to lean on a practical view on the topic. So we're talking a little bit about the automation iceberg. We'll give you some details about that in a second, and how Mindflow and GLIMPS can actually help. And then we'll get started with demo. Of course, you're more than welcome to ask questions in the chat at any time throughout the presentation. We might be stopping, or we might be taking those at the end. And don't hesitate to comment. We're here for you. So let's get started. So basically, when I was talking about the automation iceberg, I was talking more about how automation works in a company with respect to many different topics. But for today, we are talking more about security. I'm sure you all have seen that many different tools we use today have some basic automation features. So automation in that case, it's not necessarily new. We can do things like basic endpoint isolation, or creating a generic vulnerability ticket, maybe with an integration on a tool such as Jira or ServiceNow. But what's quite interesting is that teams are often quite overwhelmed by the number of tickets created, for instance, by the number of false positives. So even despite this first, let's say, layer of automation, we might still have some challenges, or maybe we can see them as undiscovered opportunity. And that's what we have really below the water of this automation iceberg. So the idea is to be able to actually go deeper, have more contextual analysis. And in this case, we typically need advanced automation products that actually integrate in your full stack at the company. So this will make you able to take a decision by considering all of the details you actually have within reach within the company. So that's the real challenge we want to tackle today. We want to tackle with this webinar. And one of the pieces of that we like to tackle, that we like to use to tackle, is definitely as a product Mindflow. Mindflow is an automation platform that allows the acceleration of implementation of automation and agentic AI at the enterprise. And it does so by maintaining the governance and the security best practices that we, of course, want to have when we start automating multiple different products. So how do we do that? We do that mainly in 4 ways. The first one, and one of the biggest differentiators, is definitely the connectors, the catalog we have. We have today a catalog of integration that counts more than 150,000 different operations we can actually do on multiple different types of vendor. The company has developed a technology that is capable of generating connectors for any types of applications exposing an API, even your own applications that you actually created in-house. We have a 7 days SLA for providing those. So this is important because usually automation is as powerful as the number of tools you can actually integrate into. Then, of course, what's important is also how we use the solution, how easy it is. And over here, we have a no-code platform where we usually fill in things that look more like surveys, I'd say, where we state our parameters, we put some prompts, and we are actually able to automate quite quickly a large number of applications. Of course, we do have a massive use of artificial intelligence in the solution, whether it is for creating automation playbooks or actually for running operations under the form of complex agents. And we can have chaining of agents, we can have swarming as well. And this is something that's quite powerful, especially for all those tasks that are quite easy, quite difficult to model in a deterministic fashion. And lastly, as we said before, we have to stick, of course, to the security posture of the company. And we do have some of our features that are called more like enterprise grade, where we look into auditability. Everything is logged. We're able to see what our agents are doing. But we also go one step further. We have the controls to monitor in a quite granular fashion what our automation playbooks or what our agents are capable to do, down to the single API calls that they can actually make. And we also have features that let us isolate the different automations in environments that are dedicated to a specific organization, or maybe to a specific stage in delivery, like staging and moving to production. But as I said before, just a few seconds ago, our agents and automation in general is as powerful as what we can connect to. And one of our most powerful integrations we want to talk about today is our integration with GLIMPS. So I will let Jordan talk a little bit more about it.
So at GLIMPS, our job is simple but critical. Protect and investigate. We are a cutting-edge AI company specializing in deep file threat detection and investigation. Our mission is to give security teams the intelligence they need to stay ahead of modern threats. Before I dive into how we do this, let me start with a fundamental question. In today's threats landscape, what do modern SOC teams really need? We believe that the answer is flexibility and context. That's why we've built one comprehensive solution delivered through 3 distinct products, each designed for different use cases and user needs. First, we have GLIMPS Malware Kiosk. This is our user-friendly submission portal. This is designed for everyone in your organization, not just security experts, and so that any kind of employee who's suspicious about a file can submit it and get clarity in a few clicks. We're talking about 5 analysis time of less than 5 seconds. It's about how we say democratizing security and raising awareness across your entire workforce. Second, we have GLIMPS Malware Detect. This is one of our automation powerhouse. This is what we are using with Mindflow. It provides automatic verdicts through API, seamlessly integrating into your existing security stack. We'll see later that we have over 30 connectors already available and a lot of use cases in which we can plug GLIMPS into, for example, your EDR, your SOAR solution, your SIEM, business application, and so on. This is where automation really shines. And third, we have GLIMPS Malware Expert. This is our advanced analysis platform for security analysts. You can submit your file and have a detailed and deep analysis of what is the threat behind your file. All those tools are made so that your analysts spend less time on false positive and more time hunting real threats. Now, how does this all connect together in a real environment? This slide illustrates how what we call simplified integration. Look at the left side of the diagram. This represent the typical modern SOC environment. You have all your security solution. You have to monitor file and business applications flows, email servers, cloud storage, sometimes CI/CD pipelines, and so on. The average SOC today is managed between 10 to 20 different tools, and it's overwhelming. I was a former analyst, and I remember having like hundreds of alerts per day, and having my team deal with complexity of exactly what attackers exploit and what is the full kill chain of an attack. Now look at the center. This is where GLIMPS acts as your universal threat intelligence hub. Through our connectors, this is where the Mindflow partnership really amplifies our value. We can automatically ingest suspicious files from any source of your infrastructure. When your EDR flags a binary, we analyze it. When an email attachment arrives, we inspect it. When code is committed to your repository, we scan it. All this happens automatically through our Detect API, and everything will be seen in GLIMPS Malware Expert, which is our control tower for all the analysts, so they can find all the analysis that GLIMPS Malware Detect performed earlier. So all your security teams will be able to use it. It can be analysts, SOC operators, CSERT members, and your broader organization too, customers, employees, partners, through the kiosk. So this is integration, as we say, done right, automatic where possible, accessible when needed. And why is all of this necessary? Is because if you're running a SOC today, you're facing like a storm of impossible demands. You have SLA pressure. It can be like for P1 alerts that require a fast response. From the moment a potential threat is detected, your team has to triage, investigate, and respond ultra fast. And that's not for just one alert. That's for like dozens. And if you miss that window and you're not just failing an SLA, you're potentially giving an attacker free reins in your environment and company. What we have second is a huge alert volume. We are seeing like a growth in security events years over year, and that's why people come to see us GLIMPS. It's not just like more of alerts, it's an avalanche. Think about like if your team handle 1,000 alerts a year, it can double the next year, same team, twice the workload. And this is not sustainable. You have to hire more people or delegate everything to a partner or third-party SOC. So the workforce is not scaling with demand. As a former analyst, I know that we are missing a lot of people nowadays. the cybersecurity talent shortage is here now. And you simply cannot hire your ways out of this problem. And lastly, as I mentioned before, the average SOC environment now runs a lot of different security tools. And you have to go through your EDR, your CM, your SOAR, sandboxes, threat intelligence platform, email security, your proxies, and the list goes on. Each tool has its own console, its own alerts. You're trying to do everything from DCM, but you are always forced to go directly to the tool because you're missing information. Instead of solving the problem, we've decided to work with integration and automation. Now, imagine these four forces converging on your SOC team simultaneously, like impossible time pressure, overwhelming alert volumes, no additional staff, a fragmented tool ecosystem. And that's why automation isn't optional anymore. You need that. So let us show you what happens when you apply GLIMPS and Mindflow to this problem. So here is a scenario that I saw constantly and that our clients see also a lot. Imagine an employee downloads what appears to be a PC cleaner tool. Maybe they clicked a banner, but most of the time, they wanted to clean their computer because it's running slowly most of the time. The purpose doesn't matter. What matters is what happens next and how fast. The first one, the employee downloads this application, then they run it. And the moment that file executes on their endpoint, the race begins. If you are an EDR solution, let's say CrowdStrike here or SentinelOne, it will detect the suspicious behavior and block execution. Good, you're safe. But here's the thing. Your EDR doesn't know why it blocked this. Is it a false positive? Is it an actual malware? What kind? How severe? You will just get your alerts into your EDR or your SOAR, but you need context. You need a further analysis in order to close the incident. And you need to know how this happens in order to build defenses so that no other employee will do the same thing. And that's why we have the SOAR triage here. This is where Mindflow comes in. Your SOAR platform receives the alert and the suspicious file. Now, traditionally, this would sit in a queue waiting for an analyst to manually investigate. The analyst would spend, I don't know if it's a tier 1, maybe 30 minutes, 20 minutes, doing binary analysis, looking for classic file hashes into VirusTotal, running it through sandboxes. But most of the time, if the threat is advanced, they will just delegate it to the tier 2 and maybe the tier 3 if something is wrong. But not anymore. Instead, your Mindflow automation workflow immediately forwards that file to GLIMPS Malware Detect through our API. In a few seconds of processing time, our deep learning engine performs what would take an analyst do 30 minutes. So by complete binary analysis, code structure inspection, and malicious intent classification, you'll have a verdict that combines perfectly with what your EDR saw. And then the verdict flows back to your SOAR platform with a comprehensive report. So we've just worked through how the detection flow works. Let's go to the demo.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jordan. And I definitely appreciated you sharing your previous experience as well. I think it can speak to many people when listening to this topic in particular. So as we promised, it's demo time. So we'll go and have a look into the platform. And we saw that basically the setup that Jordan just explained to you, we built it and we triggered this file usage with a malicious file. So this is how the platform looks like. We're gonna see it for a second, like what we have. We usually have our pane over here in the right where we have our automation. It can be playbook, it can be agents actually included in those steps. As we said before, we do have our role in integration catalog, and that's quite interesting. As I said before, many different vendors. We can always add a new vendor in a very short time, especially if it exposes APIs as a platform. So basically, if we go back to the automation that was just triggered, over here, it's triggered through a webhook. So we are on CrowdStrike. We're triggering the automation and calling the webhook upon an event. We're confirming we actually received the call. And then we proceed to looking into CrowdStrike again to look for the files that were actually put in quarantine just by itself, because we want to take the very last one that we have for analysis. So what we actually do here is we go and look into, for instance, the specifications about these files. And as I said before, it's quite easy to use, user-friendly, no-code platform. We usually have parameters. We can pick data out of those. We have the logs. And basically, we can see things such as, if I go into what happened just before when we triggered the automation, the different resources of the files that we have quarantined over here, all the different details, and then we do retrieve this file based on their SHA signature. And this is where it gets interesting, because we actually download the file itself automatically and we submit it to GLIMPS for analysis. So now we'll go quickly into the GLIMPS user interface, and Jordan will explain us a little bit more about how it works. So I'll let you guide me over this.
So here we are on GLIMPS Malware Expert. This is our main interface for all the analysts and CSIRT members. Even CISO can find information interesting into this interface. As you see, you can drag and drop files, but you will also retrieve all the analysis performed by our API below. If you click on the first one, we have a detailed analysis of what happened and what Mindflow sent to us for a deep file in analysis. We are working with a score that you can see on your right. This score is safe between 0 and 100. It's suspicious between 100 and 1000. And above 1000, this is seen as malicious. This is a detection score. So the more modules detected, the higher the score will be. In the characterization panel, just below, you see our deep engine that flagged the malware family as gcleaner and all the different signature-based modules that detect stuff inside it. We have more than 20 detection modules that will extract recursively all subfiles and analyze them directly into the solution. If we go again below, this is where the analyst will find all the file details about what we saw, all heuristics, observables, signatures, and so on. If you go to the Deep Engine tab and scroll a bit, we have like all the families that match the same code and function. And here you can see we provide a pie chart with a functions distribution containing like all the malicious functions, all the legitimate functions, and the generic codes associated with that. So we are able to match statically all functions inside a binary against our database that contains hundreds of millions of files. So when we saw, like, based on the analysis of GLIMPS, we are able to provide a lot of context that other tools doesn't give you. And so that we can go back to Mindflow and combine both reports, the one from CrowdStrike and the one from GLIMPS.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jordan, once again. It's actually quite cool, and I like to see the graphics, the graphic aspect of it. So we just thought about going into the chat. We thought about going into the chat with Jordan on the tool at the point in the automation where we actually use GLIMPS. But afterwards, we can actually do many more different things. Over here for today, we decided to do just a quite simple one, I would say. We just wanted to show on one of our simple agents. We actually call them AI task. And over here, we just wanted to build a report and to actually open a ticket, for instance, in ServiceNow. We can imagine many more complex activities, but this is just for today, for a first demo of the platform. We think it's quite suitable. Over here, it's how actually an agent looks like. It's quite simple. As before, we are staying on this concept of user-friendliness. We have a prompt. And over here, if I expand, we give this prompt and some instructions. So the role of this agent is to act as a senior malware analyst and incident responder. The idea is to analyze everything based on the data that we have, especially from GLIMPS, but we can add many other things like CrowdStrike itself, but also other analysis for really a comprehensive analysis that would take a lot of time to be carried out in a manual fashion, as we would have to copy paste things into different tools, for instance. And over here, we want to open a ticket, including the analysis and especially focus on the remediation part. And we just have to specify really the type of findings, the structure, and the agent will go and by itself interact with the connector we have. Over here, we say, please use ServiceNow table to open new tickets. And over here, if we see it, how it looks like, that's how we configure an integration with an application. And I wanted to go back on this about us talking about enterprise-grade functionalities and being able to control things in a granular fashion. I know that we talk a lot about security and agents. I know that there's a lot of research going on about how you make sure you put in place guardrails, and it's all quite interesting, but it's something that unfortunately it's a tough nut to crack, let's say, since we can often bypass those kind of systems. And one way to really securing everything is going back to an old-fashioned granular controls, in particular of the API calls that the agent can perform. Over here, we see the full list of this specific API ServiceNow table, and I can decide which operations I want to whitelist for this agent. So this agent will be able to perform only that type of operation. One thing that I could have in mind, for instance, is to give only read-only access to the calls, so do more calls that are just in the get realm. And this is really how we actually integrate and interact with an application. On top of that, we can think of more complex scenarios where over here we can call other agents actually for performing more complex overall tasks. It's interesting because from one standpoint, we can have a very specific let's say, context for each single agent, having, for instance, an agent that analyzes a ticket, an agent that thinks about the best remediation, an agent that just opens new tickets or updates tickets, and this helps us have a very specific context and scale our activities with agent in a secure fashion. So if I go back into for instance, the example, I'll show you the ticket that were just opened on ServiceNow. And over here we have the report. We have an explanation of the threat overview. We're finding again the details, some of the details that Jordan actually pointed out about its classification, the family. We're talking about a G cleaner. And the different attributes. But what's interesting over here is actually the remediation strategy part. This is something that we could definitely put forward when opening a ticket, and this could be actually picked up by someone, and we could work on it. And an extension that we actually thought about for this with some customers is, for instance, having complementary actions. Once the human operator perform remediation, we can have an agent that upon closing the ticket, for instance, they can go and do a vulnerability scan or a security assessment on that specific perimeter that was affected, and check if we still have some security issues, or if we can fully close the ticket and forget about it. So really, it's just about modeling our own processes and seeing how automation can actually help us answer at machine speed and stay safe with our own operations. So I think that wraps it up, at least for the demo. And I can go back to the presentation. We just wanted to share a couple more things. One is the example I gave you, I gave everyone orally, but we also have many other different possibilities together with GLIMPS. Once again, what we saw today was more related to a specific PC from an employee, for instance, trying to download a specific file. It's something that we could actually do in a similar fashion, for instance, on a drive like Microsoft Drive or Google Drives. And over here, we can think of an automation that automatically secures Google Drive from uploads of malicious files. So the idea is that we monitor autonomously what gets uploaded, and files of specific types, we can actually run the analysis, and we can, for instance, delete them if we find that this is a malicious file. But we can also, of course, use something like Slack to notify the user so that they know why the file is not there anymore, and maybe share some best practices internally within the company as well. So this is definitely something that's quite interesting. It's really what we typically do with our customers is we run an ideation session where we try to think about their issues, their problems, and then we propose some automation solutions to tackle them so that they can actually see from the get-go the value that they can bring to them. So we discussed about the different opportunities and different types of automations we have. We start reaching towards the end of the webinar, and there is one important part more related to, once again, to a recap of why Mindflow and GLIMPS go great together. And I'll let Jordan talk a little bit more about that.
So those are like KPIs that we receive from our customers, mainly MSSPs that are working with a lot of alerts and that are working a lot on automation, but not a single automation at scale, so that they can handle more and more alerts and more clients. This is not just for analysts, it's also for their business. So what we collected as information from them is that we are able to suppress a lot of false positive using our intelligent context and our combination of analysis with other security analysis tools, so that your analysts aren't chasing ghosts anymore. They're not wasting time on false positive, and they can focus on what really matters. We are also like reducing a lot the mean time to respond. You don't have like to deal with 45 minutes of manual binary reversing. Now it's sequence of, as we call, AI analysis. We are not talking about simple hashes lookup, as you saw. This is deep structural analysis and classification. You get a comprehensive verdict delivered in a few seconds. Not, we think that it might be bad. You'll have a definitive answer with evidence and context. So we free your team from repetitive file analysis tasks. Like, as you know, an analyst's time is valuable. Let them hunt threats, not analyze the thousands benign installer that happens last week, for example. So, not every file needs expensive deep analysis. We filter out legitimate softwares before engaging expensive, like, time on them for analysis. Why burn credits on like some Microsoft Office updates, or like a little, it can be a cleaner, but it can be a lot of time, legitimate software that are running on the laptop of the user. So exactly, we reserve comprehensive analysis for suspicious files that matter, so that you can focus your budget where it counts, on actual threats. So with GLIMPS and Mindflow, it's about multiplying the effectiveness of your team. So let us close it maybe with a little summary of what you saw today. We just showed you the pressure facing modern SOC teams that you are living every day to day. The avalanche of alerts, the talent shortage, for example, the tool sprawl, the time constraint. And we showed you how Mindflow with GLIMPS provides different integration, not only to help you gain like time to reduce investigation, but also to have a real business impact with faster response, faster coverage of SLA, better coverage of SLA, and a huge cost reduction. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We have a Q&A part, and we'll be pleased to answer to them. And also, if your team is drowning in the alerts, if you're struggling to meet SLAs or stuff like that, feel free to talk to us, Mindflow and GLIMPS. Thank you for your time, and we are happy to take questions.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Jordan. It was quite cool. We do have a couple of questions in the Q&A panel. Maybe if you want, we can go in order. I see there are a couple of questions for Mindflow, one for GLIMPS, so that you'll have some time to take a look and have an idea of the answer. I was looking at it just before. So the first one I see over here is which other EDR, XDR solutions are compatible with this integration besides CrowdStrike. So as I said before, any application, even an in-house application that you developed yourself, is compatible with Mindflow, especially if it exposes a REST API, and that REST API is documented. So the limit is the sky, really. But if we go into the specifics of EDR and XDR, we have already worked for sure, like what I have in mind is we said CrowdStrike. We worked already with customers having Sentinel-1, for instance. Again, in the space, I can think of Sophos, ESET. We did a webinar with them as well recently in particular. So these are some of the ideas in the space of the tools we actually can work with. And as I said before, we can generate those connectors pretty quickly. And that's the advantage when tackling automation, because we can adapt to your stack, which is quite complex in general. Then I see that another question still on the integration, so I'll quickly wrap up on that. I actually, from the integration standpoint, I would say it's quite simple. No specific technical skills are requested. We're still on a no-code platform, as I said before. What we usually do is we talk about your use case. We list the integration you need. We check in our catalog. If they're there, great. If they're not there, we generate them. And then we help you make your first actual interaction between Mindflow and your own stack to make sure it works. But usually it's a bit of like a survey with the parameters, as you saw before. We'll just have to configure. You'll just have to generate a key. That is something pretty standard in the industry that we configure in Mindflow, and that key is reused every time you interact with the tool. By filling in those fields and selecting those functions, or the agents themselves can actually do that for you once you whitelisted the operations. I'll let you move forward, maybe Jordan, with the questions about GLIMPS, and in the meantime, we wait to see if there's any other questions.
Yeah, so we have question: what file types can GLIMPS analyze in this automated context? So GLIMPS is able to analyze all kinds of files, and in this specific context in which we are plugged to an EDR, we'll be able to see everything that the EDR is able to see. So it can be executables, Office documents, PDF, archives, and so on. Those GLIMPS deep learning model require retraining, or does it adapt automatically? This is a good question. So we have a model that is really strong in a way that it doesn't require retraining. And also it adapts automatically. Let me be more precise. It works like DNA analysis. So when you have, like, for example, a first sample of COVID-19, it will be, for example, emotet malware. We are able to detect all the variants of it. So we are able, without retraining, to detect all the next variants of this same malware. But also, using GLIMPS Malware Expert, you are able to create your own model using our deep learning capabilities so that you can adapt the solution for your internal needs. So if you have like samples that you don't want to share to the world, you are able to put it inside GLIMPS, wait a couple of minutes that our model, our model create like links with the functions and so on, and we are able to detect all the next ones automatically. And the next question, how does GLIMPS deal with obfuscated malware? So we have two ways. The first one, for all the scripts-based malwares, we have modules able to deobfuscate scripts. So that, for example, if you send us a JavaScript, a malicious JavaScript that is heavily obfuscated, GLIMPS will choose the right modules to deal with it and send you back the deobfuscated scripts so that your analyst will also be able to see exactly what has been detected by GLIMPS inside it. I talk a lot about static analysis and so on because we are on an API-based integration so that we want a fast analysis, but GLIMPS also have a sandbox, Cape sandbox, that is created specifically and set up specifically for GLIMPS needs so that you can have hybrid analysis inside the solution. So if you have like packed malwares, obfuscated stuff and so on, you can also trigger a hybrid analysis so that you can have more context and information directly for your analyst.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jordan, for talking a little bit about those answers. And I see there is one more question more related to Google Drive. I assume it's more related to the use case we actually showed, the alternative way of checking suspicious files. And the question is about file scanning, if it has an impact on performance or experience for the users. And the answer to that would be largely no. In the sense that, of course, if it comes out that we have to delete that file, the user will not be able to access it, but that's more of a feature of the system. It's not necessarily a disadvantage. What we do here is we use the API of that service to go and fetch the file, and there is no interruption for the user that is actually using the service. And we do launch the analysis on a GLIMPS side, and we collect the results, but all of that can actually work in parallel. It doesn't have to stop the access to the Google Drive service, and we then act based on that. So I would say no specific performance issues aside from expected behavior from the system, of course. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else to that, Jordan, since it involves a GLIMPS as well.
I totally agree. GLIMPS will perform analysis in less than 5 seconds. So the user won't be impacted at all. Like, it's just the time to synchronize the file for all the other users. So it will be seamless integration.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jordan. I don't think there is many more questions. I see someone saying thank you so much. Maybe we'll just wrap it up then here, unless you see anything else, Jordan, on your end in the chat. But I think it all looks good.
It looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So, well, in that case, we're just going to wrap it up. As Jordan said, don't hesitate to contact us if this, of course, speaks to you to some extent. You see yourself in some of the challenges, and we're always happy to chat with you on this. I'll let you also some closing word, Jordan, if you want.
You said everything.
Perfect.
But yeah, if you are trying to do more with the same or fewer resources, we should talk. And thank you for your time again.
Perfect. So thank you everyone, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.